was in a spectacular spin in the home stretch early in the race. They took him behind the pit wall, but he's back in the race and is now in 8th position. Behind Benny Parsons in number 72 comes number 5, Buddy Harrington of Martinsville, Virginia. Then number 46, Roy Main of Sumter, South Carolina. Number 37, Dr. Don Saar, medical doctor from Miami, Florida.
Jim, we have a driver change in one of the cars. Car number 25 is now being driven by Earl Brooks. This car was started by Jabe Thomas of Christiansburg, Virginia.
Okay, and we're looking now at some of the other retirements in the race. Car number 31, Chip Van Diver of Charlotte, North Carolina, went out with distributor trouble. Number 68, Larry Baumel of Sparta, Wisconsin, had a broken windshield. That's real trouble. Could have been. Number 23, Earl Brooks of Lynchburg, Virginia, with a drive shaft. Number 30, Dave Marcus of Skyland, North Carolina, with a piston. Number 24, Cecil Gordon of Arden, North Carolina, with an oil leak. Number 76, Ben Arnold of Fairfield, Alabama, went out with oil pressure. Leroy Yarborough, you remember, crashed into the wall on the 4th turn. Of course, Richard Petty is in the hospital after hitting the pit wall head on and almost going through it. There's the leader, Bobby Isaac, in car number 71. If you weren't with us earlier, we showed you an interview that Bob Montgomery had before the race with Bobby Isaac, in which he actually said, quite honestly, that he is afraid of this racetrack. Well, right now he's conquering both fear and the racetrack, and is the leader with 224 laps completed out of a scheduled 291. We're moving into the closing stages of this race now.
Jim, I just clocked Bobby Isaac on the last lap, and he turned 151.8 miles per hour. And that's faster than the fellows expected to be running this late in the race.
Isaac coming right at you down the home stretch at this moment, and that blue flag with the gold stripe across it is the signal to a slower car to move over and let the leader go by. There's Cale Yarborough in car number 27. He is in 3rd place at the moment and 1 lap behind the 2 leaders, Bobby Isaac and David Pearson. Now there you saw 71 going back to 17, David Pearson. That was the distance between 1st and 2nd place. Now back up to the leader again, to Bobby Isaac. You can see this, what would you say, about 150 yards, Ned?
Yes, it actually registered 3 seconds, Jim, the last time around.
3 seconds is precious little time on a track like this. Live racing from South Carolina on a hot early summer afternoon. There are the leaders. We'll be back in a minute. Standing still the same, Bobby Isaac the leader, David Pearson second, a lap behind Cale Yarborough, 3 laps behind Richard Brooks. This is Jim McKay, along with former NASCAR Grand National driving champion on 2 occasions, as a matter of fact, Ned Jarrett. Bob Montgomery is working with us down in the pit area. The leader, Bobby Isaac, incidentally, has not won a race so far this year, but he's finished in the top 5 in 7 races, and in the top 10 in another 7. He is second in the Grand National point standings to Richard Petty, and conceivably could take the lead by the time this race is over today. Isaac so far this year has won some $27,170. The distance between 1st and 2nd place right now, between Isaac there, the leader, David Pearson, is 3 2/10 seconds. He may be stretching it out just a little bit. 229 laps have gone by. We're scheduled for 291. Track temperature, by the way, we will give you the air temperature of 90, but temperature on the track at race time is 155 degrees.
And that is hot, Jim. In fact, that is hotter than it normally is here for the Southern 500 on Labor Day.
That's the temperature as far as the tires are concerned on the track surface. Inside the driver's compartment, as you watch Bobby Isaac working that wheel, it is not very much cooler. Now, the new NASCAR rule this year is that the cars must not have side windows. They used to run with the windows up. I was kind of surprised to find out that most of the fellows think it's hotter with the windows out than with the windows in there.
Yes, they seem to think the air, not only the outside air circulating in and through the car, but also the air that might come up off the tires and off the track itself coming into the car would make it hotter. They prefer to run with the windows up in the car. Of course, they can't do that now with the new ruling. Of course, there's mixed feelings as far as this ruling is concerned. Some say that it's better, and some say that it's not as well. Of course, normally they would not run the windows here at Darlington anyway.
Temperatures inside a car on a day like this have often been registered as high as 130 or 135 degrees. So the physical condition of these men has to be tremendous. We get word that Bobby Isaac is scheduled for a pit stop in 4 laps, according to present planning.
I believe that would be a scheduled pit stop, Jim. They've been running about 45 to 50 laps on each run under the green flag.
What about the absence of windows as far as aerodynamics is concerned? You said they probably would be running with them down here anyway.
Yes, because the aerodynamic design of the car is not nearly as important here because the speeds aren't as high as they are at Talladega and Daytona. And they feel that the weight of being closer to the ground rather than having the windows up high in the car would be more of an advantage than the aerodynamic design of having the windows in the cars. And so they would, if they were allowed to have the windows, they most likely would have them taken out for this particular race.
When Ned indicated that the speeds are slower here, he really didn't mean that they're slow. They're around 150 miles an hour. As a matter of fact, I have a watch on Bobby Isaac right now. We'll try to... Same lap as Bobby Isaac and David Pearson at number 71 and 17. Well, I got a timing on Bobby, 32 and 6/10 seconds. We've come to 151.840 miles an hour. That's pretty fast at this stage of the race.
Yes, it is. It's less than 2 miles an hour off the qualifying record that was set by Charlie Gotch back here earlier in the week.
Fantastic racing here in the Southland. Let's take a look at the relationship between those two cars. There you saw Isaac, and back over here is David Pearson.
I believe Isaac is pulling away. I'll put the clock on him as he comes by this time and just see what he is in seconds.
36 cars started, 16 are now running. With 236 out of 291 laps gone.
Isaac has built up a 6-second lead over Pearson now. He's pulling away.
So pretty soon David Pearson may need the benefit of a yellow flag of some sort in order to start catching up with Isaac again.
Another thing that we might note with Isaac scheduled to come into the pits, and in fact he's coming into the pits right now, and we'll put the clocks on him and see how long he's in here, Jim. And the pit crew of Pearson is one of the fastest in the business, not meaning to take anything away from Harry Hyde and the fellows who pit Bobby Isaac's car. There he is stopped, and of course they're going to change the right side tires. According to the NASCAR rules, they're only allowed 5 men over the wall to work on these cars. And you see the fellow cleaning the windshield. He's not considered over the wall, but he is cleaning the windshield. Of course, they're handing Bobby Isaac a drink of water or his favorite soft drink while they're changing the tires, of course, and putting in gasoline. They've worked rather rapidly on this car, so it looks like he has a good pit stop going, and there he goes out, and the time on that was 23 and 1/10 seconds, which is, 22 and 1/10 seconds, which is a fantastic pit stop on a hot day like today.
Very fast pit stop for Bobby Isaac, and very soon we'd expect that this car, number 17, David Pearson, would also have to come in. At the moment, however, 17, David Pearson, has become the leader. But remember, very soon he must pit. And it depends how fast his pit stop is compared to this car, Bobby Isaac's, who will be the leader as the pit stop's been completed. This is a battle, by the way, of manufacturers also. Bobby Isaac in a 1969 Dodge Daytona, and David Pearson in a 1969 Ford. It's Dodge against Ford out there right now.
And this is always a battle, and particularly to the fans all over the country. This is one thing that this sport has, Jim, that a lot of other sports, in fact, no other sport has to offer. Not only the competition of the athletes, the individuals themselves, and the teamwork of the teams that take care of these cars, but also in the various makes of automobiles. And, of course, people have a lot of pride in the cars that they drive, and they identify these cars out on the racetrack.
Okay,
yes,
the race...
see, Buddy Baker is in trouble. Car number 6. Evidently, he's going out of the race.
Yes, he is, being pushed behind the pit wall. The race goes on, and we'll be back live and in color in South Carolina in another minute. Darlington, South Carolina. The leader in the Rebel 400 at this moment is David Pearson in car number 17, and there he is. In second place, Bobby Isaac in car number 71, although technically at this moment, Cale Yarborough, number 27, has moved into second place. But that is because neither David Pearson nor Cale Yarborough has pitted. Number 71, Bobby Isaac here, has already made his scheduled pit stop. he will either be just in front or just behind David Pearson in all probability when Pearson makes his scheduled pit stop. As for Yarborough here in car number 27, he's going to be at least a lap behind by the time this pit stop business is finished. But Cale is in second place at this moment, should be around third when the pit stops are completed. Again, if you've just joined us, Richard Petty, one of the big names in American stock car races, was in a spectacular and serious crash here when he crashed head-on into the pit wall, a good many laps ago now. He has been taken to the hospital. First report from the track hospital and from members of his own family are that he does not appear to be hurt too seriously. He is conscious. He is talking. He may have something like a broken or sprained left arm. At the moment that he left the racetrack, that was all that was apparent. We're waiting for further reports from the Darlington Hospital. Now into the pits, number 32, Richard Brooks, last year's NASCAR Rookie of the Year, running in fourth position as he comes in. In fifth place at the moment is car number 48, James Hilton, one of the most determined of the independent operators. Cale Yarborough has come into the pits, number 27. So he will not be in second place as he was a couple of moments ago as the pit stop story unfolds. What we're waiting for now, really, is for David Pearson to come into the pits. Here's Richard Brooks. 245 laps gone. It's a scheduled 291.
And Jim, Richard Brooks didn't have quite as good a pit stop as Bobby Isaac. He was in the pits for 28 and 6/10 seconds. And at the speed they're running out here today, that's a lot of difference.
Quick word that it's always good to have our friends in Canada with us, watching on the CTV network this afternoon. ABC's Wide World of Sports, bringing you one of the major sports events of this weekend, the Rebel 400 from South Carolina. There's Bobby Isaac closing in again on the leader, David Pearson, and David's got to make that pit stop pretty soon. Big weekend on ABC Sports. Already today you saw the third round of the Houston Champions International Golf Tournament. Tomorrow you'll see the final round of that tournament along with same-day satellite color coverage of the Grand Prix of Monaco, the race through the streets of Monte Carlo. That'll be at 3:30 to 5 Eastern Time. The leader, David Pearson, Bobby Isaac second. Nobody else on the same lap. Cale Yarborough is third now, a lap behind. Richard Brooks is fourth. Car number 32 and James Hilton, number 48, is fifth.
The Ford of Pearson has been able to go a little bit longer here this afternoon, Jim, before making a pit stop. Of course, this could turn to be an advantage to him if caution should happen to come out, although he's only able to go some 5 or 6 laps longer than the Dodge automobiles of Isaac and when Bobby Allison was in the pit.
David Pearson, the leader at the moment, is the defending NASCAR Grand National Champion. He won the 1969 title. So far this year, he isn't doing too well. He's way down in 16th position in the year-long point standings. However, he's only been in 5 races. He's finished in the top 5 in 2 of them, in the top 10 in another 2. He has not, however, won a race so far this year. Neither has Bobby Isaac. Pearson has won, however, more than $30,000. So the ones he's placed high in have been important races.
Yes, he has. He finished second in the Rich Daytona 500 in February, and I believe he was third at Talladega in the 500 there. So these 2 races alone have put quite a bit of money into the bank for him. Of course, he was in the hospital earlier in the year with an operation, Jim, and was out of action for several weeks and missed some of the bigger money-paying races. And also, since he came back, has chose not to run in some of the races. Last year, of course, winning the Grand National Championship, he ran in every race that was on the NASCAR schedule, as did Isaac, and Isaac came away with the most wins in 1969, having won 17 of the Grand National races. Of course, the majority of those won by Isaac were on the short tracks of NASCAR. The only super speedway win in his career came last year at Texas in December.
Then we're going to try to take a look at the 4th turn right here, because we knew before the race was a dangerous one, and we've seen 2 of the top drivers. Here is the 4th turn. We've seen 2 of the top drivers crash here. First Leroy Yarborough, and then the wild, spectacular crash of Richard Petty. Perhaps you can tell us a little something about this 4th turn and why it's so hard.
The banking is higher now in the third and fourth turn. As we see Pearson coming around the third turn and entering the fourth turn, you see that he goes up close to the wall and then dips down low and sets himself to come off of that turn and then drifts out close to the wall. He didn't get as close that time as we normally see him as he comes off of that turn, but evidently he has picked himself a groove to come around there to where he does not get in too much trouble coming off. But the speed that they're able to generate coming off of the long third turn can put them in a very hairy position as they come off of the number 4 turn. Of course, that cement wall staring them in the face, there's quite a turn to make as they come off the turn.
How would you best describe the problem there? Is it that it's more of a dog leg, it's more towards the right angle of a turn than a normally curved turn would be?
Well, yes, I would say so, and it comes up so quickly on you, Jim, as you come out of that turn, and the fact that you have been able to generate a lot of speed. Normally, once you decelerate to go into one turn and start coming off of another one, you're able to just hold it wide open all the way off. But this turn, the fourth turn here at Darlington, is so different, and it's just a sharp turn as they come off of the and start down the straightaway off the number 4 turn.
With the race going on and David Pearson still not having pitted, we're going to go for another report in the pit area to Bob Montgomery.
Harry Hyde, the chief mechanic on Bobby Isaac's car. Harry, you made that pit stop. Is this the last one you're going to have to make? Yes, we can go the rest of the way, Bob. You're just a fraction behind Pearson. He still has to make a pit stop. Well, I noticed they just put up the sign now. And if he pits, I don't think we'll have any trouble from here on. I just hope our boss at Fort Wayne, Indiana, Mr. Crosscove, I'm glad I hope that he's watching, and I hope he's pleased with the car.
Okay, excuse me, Bob, but here comes David Pearson into the pits right now. David Pearson is no longer the leader as Bobby Isaac whips by him. Let's see how long this pit stop will be, Ned.
Okay, I have the clock on him. Actually, Isaac has to go around and come around him again before he'll take the lead, Jim, because he was one lap down. Of course, he should have plenty of time to do this while they're servicing the car of David Pearson. You can see them putting in the gasoline and tires, but that was a fast pit stop. As a matter of fact, 17.5 seconds in the pits.
Fantastic. I was anticipating a little bit on Isaac passing him, but he certainly should. But right now, Pearson is on the track, still getting up speed. Isaac at full speed is up high between turns 1 and 2 and has taken the lead. Isaac is back out in front, by several hundred yards already over David Pearson, but that was a tremendously quick pit stop.
Yes, it was. Pearson gained about 5 seconds on Isaac in the pits that time, and of course that can make a lot of difference. Right now, he's sitting only about a second behind. Before the pit stop started, before Isaac made his pit stop, he was 6 seconds ahead of Pearson.
Great pit crew work by the crew of David Pearson. 258 laps are gone. The total in the race, 291. Back for more live racing in a minute. We're back again live, covering the Rebel 400 in color from Darlington, South Carolina. And there's been another development. David Pearson there is still the leader in the race. However, when we left you, he was just a matter of feet ahead of Bobby Isaac in car number 71. While we're away, Isaac hit the wall on the second turn, not badly, but enough apparently to blow a tire. He had to come in the pits, make an unscheduled pit stop, and has now dropped 2 laps behind David Pearson. So Isaac, who appeared to be in clover on his way to repassing Pearson and taking the lead, is now in big trouble.
Yes, he lost those 2 laps, having to come into the pits and change tires. And actually, Jim, he doesn't seem to be running as we've seen him let another car go around him there, Richard Brooks. He does not seem to be running as fast as he was before. Evidently, it has affected the handling of that car. And also, while this was happening, Cale Yarborough pulled behind the wall. He was only 1 lap behind the leaders, and he is now out of the race.
All right, well, now let's go back. Let's go on videotape to watch this car number 71 that you're watching live at the moment. Watch him as he hit the wall here just a minute or 2 ago. Here we come in the second turn, and there's Bobby right up against the wall. You see smoke coming up, cement dust, more than anything else, I think, and the front of his car is working.
Yes, it appeared there was no major sheet metal damage to the side of the car as he came out of the pits, Jim, but that must have blown a tire, or either he could have blown a tire that caused him to go into the wall to start with.
And there is Bobby Isaac live again.
And Jim, he was the leader at the point he went into the wall. Actually, when he came out of the pits, he's coming back into the pits now. But after their scheduled pit stop, he beat Pearson and, of course, was the leader just by some 50 yards before he went into the wall.
The average speed of the race, right to this point, 128.238, and that includes many laps run under the yellow flag because of various accidents. The principal one, the one to Richard Petty, which sent him to the hospital. We still have no report from the downtown hospital. Track hospital reports, remember, from his father and from his brother and from a NASCAR official were that he did not appear to be seriously injured and was conscious and was talking. But David Pearson is all by himself now. 264 laps have gone by. Total laps in the race, 291. Racing under the green flag, he has made what should be his final pit stop of the afternoon, so all he's got to do is keep it moving, Ned.
Yes, David certainly knows this racetrack. He has won this race once before, and going into this race today, he was second, only about $6,000 behind Richard Petty as far as total earnings on the super speedways.
In second place at the moment now is Richard Brooks, who has gone ahead of Bobby Isaac as Bobby Isaac refitted. Richard Brooks is 3 laps, however, behind the leader. And there is Isaac going back out again. And there's the leader, David Pearson.
And Isaac is 4 laps behind now, the leader.
There's news from the pit area. Bob Montgomery.
Right alongside is Dick Hutchison. Dick, I guess you feel pretty good right now, don't you? Well, we do at this point, Bob. We got about a 3-lap lead. Bobby Isaac had a little trouble. We've run real good all day. The trouble we've had this week, I think we deserve it. Looks like Pearson overcame a little bit of that fight of the first turn. Well, I think we got it mastered. We done a little minor engineering this morning. We didn't know how it worked, but it turned out real well. If you look at the record book, it says if you want to win Darlington, bring a Ford, second, a Plymouth. Ford, right now, is in the lead. Back to you, Jim.
Okay, Bob.
I think the main thing...
Well, that was Dick Hutchison who had another word, which couldn't quite hear. Dick Hutchison in the pit crew, and one of the strategists for David Pearson, and a former very fine NASCAR driver himself. 24 laps to go, and we'll be back to watch them live in a minute. Darlington, South Carolina. Jim McKay reporting with Ned Jarrett and Bob Montgomery on the Rebel 400. There you see the leader is David Pearson. He's not only the leader, he is long laps ahead of the second place car, Bobby Isaac. Now that's on your scoreboard right now, but I believe that's an error. I believe the second place car is Richard Brooks, car number 32. Richard Brooks is second in car number 32. Bobby Isaac is third in car number 71. There's Richard Brooks right now. He's 3 laps behind the leader. Bobby Isaac is 5 laps out of first place. The leader, again, is David Pearson in his familiar car, number 17. David, 35-year-old race driver from Spartanburg, South Carolina. The father of Larry, Rick, and Eddie Pearson. 3 sons. David, the defending NASCAR Grand National Champion. There he was, flashing by. He has won the Grand National Championship 3 times, and that tied a mark that Lee Petty established back in the 1950s. Last year, David Pearson was in 51 races, won 11, and finished in the top 5 on 42 occasions. Just a tremendous year. He earned $183,700, second highest money season in the history of the sport. First highest, of course, was also last year. That was Leroy Yarborough. So David Pearson is having himself quite a career.
Jim, going into this race today at the Darlington Raceway, Pearson had entered 16 races and had been in the top 5 on 10 occasions, the top 10 on 12 occasions, and had earned $80,095, which is on the second to Richard Petty's record here, of which Petty had won $104,000 prior to today's running of the Rebel 400.
There's an interesting sidelight on Richard Brooks being in second place in this race right now. Earlier today, he not only made an unscheduled pit stop, but his car actually had to be pulled behind the wall. As Ned Jarrett explained at the time, this usually means that you're out of the race. However, it can mean that the NASCAR officials say if it's going to take more than a few seconds, it's going to be a matter of minutes to try to fix your car, you got to go behind the wall. Well, he did go behind, and he must have been back there, what, 5 or 6 minutes?
Yes, he was.
He was out of it, and here he is in second place.
Fortunately for him, the time that he was behind the wall all came under the caution flag, and of course he didn't lose nearly as much time had they been under the green flag.
Again, there are long miles between first and second and between second and third. That's Richard Brooks in second place. Here is the third place car of Bobby Isaac. Brooks is 3 laps behind David Pearson, right here, the leader. And Bobby Isaac is 5 laps behind. The fourth place car is James Hilton in number 48. He is 9 laps out of first place. And in fifth place at the moment, we have number 72, Benny Parsons of Detroit, Michigan. Another case of never give up in automobile racing, because he spun out on the home stretch that was in the pits for quite a while, and now he's back in fifth place.
These fellows know that anything can happen in an automobile race, and if they can get back in, they know that they have a chance to finish in a relatively high position. And Jim, there's some pretty good money down the line, and they're anxious to stay in there and get as much of it as they possibly can.
274 laps have gone by. Total scheduled 291. We're really in the closing stages now. 275 now as the leader goes past the finish line again. That's the third place car you're looking at the moment. Remember, tomorrow, tremendous action again through the facilities of ABC Sports at 3:30 Eastern Time. Same-day coverage by satellite of the Grand Prix of Monaco, the Formula One race through the streets of Monte Carlo. If you've never seen it, it is one of the great, spectacular, romantic sights, I might even say, in sports. The Grand Prix of Monaco, Bill Fleming and Bill Hill will be over there reporting it on our special racing series, and it'll be same-day color satellite coverage at 3:30 to 5 Eastern Time tomorrow, immediately followed over many of these stations by the final round of the Houston Champions International Golf Tournament, which at the moment is led by Bruce Crampton. However, he's leading just by 2 shots over Bert Green and Gibby Gilbert, so that should be quite a finish. At the moment, we're still live, bringing you the Rebel 400 with 15 laps to go. 15 to go for David Pearson. The first prize money of more than $15,000 will be his. Should he win, it will be his first victory of the 1970 season. As Ned indicated, he was injured, however, early in this year. Got off to a slow start, but he's really charging now.
Yes, he is. Actually, he was not injured, Jim. He was in the hospital as a result of a couple of operations that did not pertain to racing.
Hospitalized, I should say.
Yes.
The word injury is on my mind because of things that have happened here today. We'll be back in a minute, live at Darlington. See the standings: David Pearson, Richard Brooks, Bobby Isaac, and James Hilton. But we have a report from the hospital. This is from the doctors now on Richard Petty, who crashed into the pit wall head-on earlier today. He has a dislocated shoulder and a chipped bone within the shoulder. He has some cuts, not serious ones, on his face. But the big news is Richard is expected to be dismissed from the hospital tomorrow. Is that good news, Ned?
It certainly is, Jim. It's the best news we've had here all this afternoon, because Richard Petty is certainly one of the finest stock car drivers in the world and one of the most popular ones. And I know that many fans across the country who has Petty as a household word are happy to hear this news, too.
Richard, for a long time, has been perhaps the most popular driver. One barometer of how popular a driver is down here in the NASCAR circuit is the number of kids around the track who wear T-shirts, not with his name on them or his picture, but just his number. That's all you have to have down here. And you see hundreds of kids at every race with number 43 on their T-shirts. That's for Richard Petty, who is okay, will be out of the hospital tomorrow. It was one of the worst crashes, if you weren't with us earlier, that we've seen in a long time. Ned and I and everybody here in the booth had grave doubts about what the condition of Richard Petty might be. He was unconscious at first. His helmet was squeezed between the door of his car and the roof, which had caved in despite the roll cage, but it was the roll cage and the helmet almost certainly that saved him.
There's no doubt about it, Jim. It was a tremendous help to him in that situation.
There's Bobby Isaac in third place. There are now 9 laps left in the race, 9 for the leader. There's the second place car, Dick Brooks, number 32, Californian, and number 17, David Pearson, the South Carolinian, leading the race in his home state. There'll be lots of cheers for him here, it appears, very soon. At less than 9 laps to go in the race. And now there are 8 laps to go. Pearson has made 9 pit stops so far this afternoon. Crew chief Dick Hutcherson and his men have done a tremendous job. It was the last pit stop that gave him a fighting chance against Bobby Isaac, but then, of course, when Isaac hit the wall and had trouble with his car, that became academic. He took a long lead and is still holding it. There you see the man in the car. a little easier to see the driver this year on television because of the new rule that they must race with no side windows in the car. That's not the reason for it, let me assure you. It's a safety reason.
Yes, it is. There was an accident at Daytona, Jim, in February that when the car hit a wall, it scattered glass all over the track, and they had a tremendous job in getting the glass cleaned up from the track. Of course, that is one of the safety factors involved.
Okay, well, you saw the first and second place cars on that split screen, and we'll be back in a minute with the finish of the Rebel 400. And 5 for David Pearson to win the Rebel 400, which you're watching live and in color from Darlington, South Carolina this afternoon on ABC's Wide World of Sports. David Pearson with a long 3-lap lead over the second place car, number 32 of Richard Brooks, with a 6-lap lead now over third place car number 71, Bobby Isaac. And now there are 4 laps to go, less than 4 for this car. David Pearson of Spartanburg, South Carolina, the defending Grand National champion on the NASCAR circuit in his 1969 Ford, qualified third fastest for this race at a speed of 153.246 miles per hour. His average speed this afternoon considerably less than that, but that's primarily because of long laps of yellow flag under which they've had to race. There's the move over flag for a slower car. Less than 3 laps to go. There are these kind of anxious moments in their own way, just making sure that engine sounds right, that everything's all right.
Yes, they are, Jim. In fact, you can hear a lot of noises that perhaps are not there in a condition like this. He knows all he has to do is finish this race and he can win it. But he starts hearing sometimes a lot of little extra noises, wondering if that engine is missing, if it's still performing to its very best. And that I'm sure that Pearson has a pretty good feeling right now, knowing that he just has a couple of more laps to go.
You said listening for something. I had an interesting conversation with Buddy Baker before the race today. I asked him why he didn't wear earplugs. He said, because my ears can help me sometimes. He said, aside from my hands and feet running the car, he said, I got 3 senses to help me. My sight to watch, my nose to smell with, interestingly, to smell if anything's wrong with the car, and my ears to hear with, and I want to use them all. Interesting point.
Very definitely. They can smell if the car should start smoking or something of this nature. A lot of times they can smell, and then, of course, hearing is very important.
David Pearson should get the white flag, and there it is. The white flag is out, meaning 1 lap to go for you, and you're the winner. We're at Darlington, South Carolina. Another colorful moment in the wide world of sports. To reach the little hamlet of Darlington, you drive about 2 hours southeast from Charlotte, North Carolina, through places called Pageland, Jefferson, and McBee, and past very colorful road signs. And then you reach the Darlington Raceway, one of the meccas of automobile racing, where right now David Pearson is about to take the checkered flag. It'll be victory in the Rebel 400, his second victory in this race. There it is. It's all over. He won this race 2 years ago, and now he has won again. We'll be back, hopefully, for a word with the winner in a minute. Bob Montgomery is down with the winner. Go, Bob.
Here's the winner, David Pearson. David, what kind of a race? Well, Bob, it was a real good race. And in fact, I'm sorry that Bob Isaac had the trouble right there at the end of the race, because I think it would have been a real close between him and him. Did you have any real problems out there, David? It was a bad week. It started off real bad for you, but it wound up real good. Yes, of course, last couple of days I had pretty bad, but we changed everything on the car last night, and luckily everything was just perfect. I was kidding Isaac earlier when he said, I hit the wall, you know, so I told him I hit it during the week and saving it for today, so he hit it today. David Pearson, the winner. Now back to you, Jim McKay.
Thanks very much, Bob. David Pearson, the winner by 3 laps over Richard Brooks, by 9 laps over Bobby Isaacs, by 12 laps over James Hilton and Benny Parsons. Those are the results. Next Saturday, 5 p.m. Eastern and Pacific Time, 4 Central Time on Wide World of Sports, the Indianapolis 500 time trials from the Great Speedway in Indianapolis. We'll be on same-day videotape coverage of the first day of qualifications at Indianapolis, and the pole position winner beginning at 6 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time next Saturday. Now, that'll be on at 6 o'clock. The show starts at 5 o'clock, but the report on the time trials will be 6 o'clock Eastern Time on Wide World of Sports. In addition, you'll see us naming our ABC's Wide World of Sports Athlete of the Year for 1969. We'll also have Japanese kickboxing. There's a new sport for us, even on Wide World, from Tokorozawa City Auditorium in Japan, one of the wildest events we've ever seen, where boxers are permitted to land blows with their legs and feet in addition to their hands. Also next week, the Mexican 1000 Cross-Country Road Racing Championship, which you liked earlier, from Baja California, Mexico. leading field of road racing enthusiasts competing over a rugged 1,000-mile course from Ensenada to La Paz. All that next week. This week, Johnny Reb is indicating that David Pearson is the winner of the 1970 Rebel 400. The executive producer of ABC's Wide World of Sports is Roone Arledge. The coordinating producer, Jim Spence. Rebel 400 produced by Doug Wilson. And today's program was directed by Lou Volpicelli. Our associate producer was Bryce Wiseman. Associate directors Joe Assetti, Bernie Hoffman, and Ronald Hawkins. Technical directors Walt Kubelis and Al Smith. My personal thanks, as always, to John Cooper here with us in the booth, who is invaluable. Remember, tomorrow afternoon here on ABC, an exciting doubleheader, the Grand Prix of Monaco by satellite beginning at 3:30 Eastern Time, followed by the final round of the Houston Champions International Golf Tournament. And next Saturday, once again, on Wide World of Sports, Indy 500 time trials. That'll be on at the 6 p.m. segment of Wide World Eastern Time. Also, the Athlete of the Year, Japanese kickboxing, and the Mexican 1000 cross-country road racing championship. Do we give you a little variety from time to time? Well, for now, this is Jim McKay with Ned Jarrett and Bob Montgomery saying so long from Darlington, South Carolina. Air travel arrangements.